Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? We're gonna be talking about more Rangers today. Let's go. I'm drinking out of Grace's cup because she left it before she went to work, so her loss, not mine. Anyways, enough about all that. Oopsie. Looks like Grace left me a little something before I started. Thank you. How do I close that? Okay. Anyways, we're gonna be talking Rangers today. What else is new? It's been a while, I know. I feel like every time I start a video, it's been a while. Because it has been a while. I'm not really good at uploading, but spring break starts for me today. Today was first day of spring break. Took my last exam yesterday. Worked right after my exam. Worked this morning. We'll work tomorrow morning. But right now, I finally got some freaking free time. Thinking about live streaming Rangers post game. Like doing my own little Rangers post game in a live stream. Thinking about it. Don't know how I'm gonna do it. It obviously will be on YouTube, but problem is, oftentimes in the evening, the Rangers play. I'm working. I have not watched a Rangers game live in a very long time. The Rangers game that we saw last night, I watched at around 11:30 at night, and I only watched the third period. I had kept up with the first and second on Twitter, so yeah, I haven't watched a live Rangers game in a while. So hopefully I'll be able to start live streaming after games. I think it'd be cool to do like a little Rangers post game. We'll interact with the fans a little bit and just talk, see what we think about the game, and so on and so forth. I think it'd be fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But actually, in this video, we're going to be talking about the New York Rangers today and what they could possibly do at the trading deadline. So, for those of you that do not know, NHL Trade Deadline date. Monday, March 21st. We are officially within 3 weeks of the NHL's trade deadline. We have, what is that, 21 minus 5, what is that, 15, 16 days away? We're 16 days away, so really two weeks. 2 weeks and 2 days. In my opinion, I think trades are best made before the trade deadline, so you kind of have a little bit more time to build chemistry between players. And if you're going for rentals, well, why get 18 games out of them when you can get 30? Actually, less than at this point. So, let's look at the Rangers. Let's just look at this, okay? $32 freaking million. $32 million, as Dr. Evil would say. It's a lot of freaking money. There's a lot you could do with that freaking money. And look at that. Look at that. -$1 on LTIR used. Wow. Who cares about that? This is what we're talking about. Almost $32 million in cap space at the deadline. And despite the Rangers' success this season, we would be remiss if we did not admit that there are some gaping holes in this team that could prevent us from being a serious contender. I fear, for the life of me, that Shesterkin is going to do the Rangers what Henrik Lundqvist did to the Rangers. And that is being so dang good. I gave up cursing for Lent, so bear with me. And some of these words are going to sound funny coming out of my mouth. But anyway. Shesterkin and Lundqvist, being as good as they are taking a slightly above average, slightly above mediocre team and making them look like a serious contender. Rangers did that with Lundqvist for about 15 years. Hopefully we learn from our previous mistakes and build around Lundqvist, not keep giving him crummy teams in front of him, overpaying on superstars, and not filling out the bottom. Problems with the Rangers in the past. Depth scoring. Did I mention depth scoring? Problems with the Rangers this year. Playoff team Rangers we're talking about. Depth scoring. Throw in depth scoring in there. Yeah, depth freaking scoring. So, what the Rangers are lacking now is exactly what they've lacked in the past in their big runs. The only time they did not lack depth scoring was their 2012 run to the Eastern Conference Finals, their 2014 run to the Stanley Cup Finals, and their 2015 run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Those three teams all had arguably superior depth and were good teams and were capable of winning. They just didn't. But they near dang got us there. And this team, just lacking that depth that we had in 12, 14, and 15. If we're looking at the Rangers as a team, no one really cares about this. We're not going to look at this because this is not an indication of where we're going to be at post-deadline. We're looking at the individual statistics. So, as many of you know, I really don't care about points. I care about point percentage till the season ends. If you look at point percentage, the Rangers are the sixth best team in the entire NHL. If Toronto loses tonight, we will be the fifth. We're up there. We're in the... Wow, Tampa Bay really has made a name for themselves. Okay, so Tampa Bay's on the road back. Anyways, who cares about that? We're talking about the Rangers, baby. Let's go. Sixth in the entire league. Toronto loses tonight, we'll be fifth. That's pretty dang good. And that is well above where I think anyone would have put us at the start of this season. That's good, but a lot of the success is on the back of Igor Shesterkin. If you look at goals for, I want to see goals for per game. Goals for per game, 19th in the NHL. 19th. Goals against per game, third best defensive team in the league. Now, granted, I am not saying the Rangers are a bad team because I don't think they are. I definitely think they're an above average team. I just don't think they're... Oh, boy. I don't think they're a Stanley Cup contender compared to the Colorados and the Tampa Bays and the Floridas and the Carolinas of the league. I think all four of those teams are better than us, and mostly because of their depth. And it's just... I feel like with some depth scoring and some rounding out of this roster, the Rangers could be dangerous, but Greg Mccann is in the lineup every single night. The only time he wasn't was when he was sick last night, and we did pretty dang good without him. So if Greg McKegg is in your lineup every night, are you really a good depth team? Because I don't think so. Now, I think if Greg McKegg is your first or second line center in the AHL, you got a pretty good AHL team. But if he is night after night on your third and fourth line in the NHL, well, you're probably getting carried in some way or another. If you look at the Rangers' power play, this is ridiculous how well the Rangers' power play is doing. 25, you're scoring at once every 4 power plays. Pretty dang good. The penalty kill, 83-3, has us at 7th in the NHL. Both of our special teams units are top 7 in the entire NHL. Special teams, for the first time in a long time, is consistent across the board. The Rangers have a good power play and a good penalty kill at the same time. Not something we're used to. I don't really care about the Nets. Shots per game, the Rangers are towards the bottom. Watching games this year, the Rangers, they don't fall apart necessarily in the third period, but they also don't do great in the third period or the second period. They just don't get shots on net. And if you look at shots against per game, the 12th most shots against in the game. And let's see, how many of these teams ahead of the Rangers in shots against per game are in a playoff spot? One. Okay, and then we got to go all the way back to who's that? Is that St. Louis? Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah, to find another one. So, in other words, giving up more shots than you take is typically not a good thing. Not that I'm going to be super judgy on this as much as I was last year, but also face-off percentage. 8th. Actually, it's not as bad as I thought. I think last year we were dead last, but still pretty damn bad. But face-offs, honestly. I put a lot of emphasis on face-off because I think it's big late in the game. But honestly, if you've got 1 or 2 good face-off takers, that's really all you need. Other than that, it's just, Anyways, moving on. We're looking at standings now. We're looking at divisional standings. So the Rangers right now are 3rd in our division, which is crazy considering if you look at the league. They're 7th in the league in point percentage, or 6th in the league in point percentage. That's crazy. And we're 3rd in our division? Nuts. Absolutely nuts. 75 points. We are 2 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. We have a better win percentage than them. They have 2 more games played than us. We're probably going to catch them. More likely than not, the Rangers are going to play the Penguins in round 1 of the playoffs. It's been a long time since we saw that in the playoffs. Last time I believe we played the Penguins in the playoffs was the year that we got bounced in 5 games. No, it was not. Maybe it was. Was that 2015, 2016? We lost in like 5 games. That was the year we had Eric Stahl. Yeah, because 14-15 went to conference final. Yeah, so I believe it was 15-16 was the last time we saw them in the playoffs, and we got murdered. I think we lost in 5 games. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's when it was. But we're not really looking at this for the Rangers. I mean, we know where we sit. We're looking more at the teams that are not currently in a playoff spot, and most likely are not going to be fighting for one. Which teams are not fighting for playoff spots? Which ones are? It's kind of hard to say. So for the Eastern Conference, picked Detroit down as sellers. I want to throw Columbus in that mix, and I think I should. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to. We're going to throw Columbus in that mix. I wasn't going to originally, but I'm going to go ahead and throw them in there now on second look. Just because they're rumored to be potentially moving some pieces. We'll look at this in a minute. No cheating. So Columbus down, and in the Western Conference, we're not talking about Dallas, we're not talking about Nashville, we're not talking about Edmonton, we're not even talking about Anaheim or necessarily Vancouver. We're going from Winnipeg down. The only reason I'm not including these teams is because they're still in the hunt. Vancouver's 5 points out, Anaheim 4. Edmonton is tied. The only reason they're not ahead... Sorry. The only reason they're not ahead is because Nashville has a game at hand on them. But the Western Conference is pretty tight up until Vancouver. And even Winnipeg, you can argue, is still kind of in the hunt. But more likely than not are going to sell. So from Winnipeg down and from Columbus down. So if we're looking at the Rangers, this is the lineup we expect to see post-deadline. We know Kaapo Kakko is going to be out about another month. Kevin Rooney might be back at the end of the month. Probably not, but I'm going to throw him in there just because why not? And when Kaapo Kakko does come back, if we're just pretending we're making playoff lineups. Let's just do that. And we'll do yada, yada, yada. Right there. Okay. So let's just pretend for some reason that this would be the lineups. If we don't make a single move at the trade deadline, everyone's healthy and back to normal. Let's just pretend that this is what it's going to look like. Okay. Boom. It's cap space. Make sure everything's out of the way. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So assuming that this is what the team's going to look like, there are some glaring holes. This is post deadline. This is today. And even right here, some glaring holes. We need a second line winger. I would say we can get a second line winger and a third line center. We're in business. Because that pushes Gaudreau back down to the fourth line. That pushes Hurdle to the wing and gives us a good third line center. Or you can keep Hurdle at center and you can get a third line winger. Personally, I think that should be the Rangers' hunt. If they want to replace Patrick Nemeth, I am so for it. It's not even funny. I just don't necessarily think that we need to. We could, but we don't need to. If they were going to, we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's talk about these teams that are not in the playoff spot and which players could plug these holes that we have just exposed. So, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Plenty of these guys have been in trade rumors lately. No. Possibly. Highly unlikely, though, because long-term money. I think Max Domi, if you're looking for a second, third line, middle six scoring option, I think Max Domi is an excellent option. What we're going to do is this as well. We're going to do... thank you. Okay, Max Domi. If you need scoring, don't even bother looking at his defense because we already know how bad it is. But if you need scoring, why not give this guy a shot? He could probably be had for a third, maybe a second round pick. He's a pending UFA. No one's really talking about him. He's not having a terrible season, but we're looking for someone that can complement the Panarin line or go on the third line at depth scoring. Personally, I think if you go after a guy like Max Domi, you put him on the second line to start, not the third line. He is a firecracker, plays hard, will fight, can score. I like him. Personally, if I was going to pick any player from Columbus that we were going to make a move on, Max Domi would be choice number 1. Boone would be choice number 2. There's no way they're going to trade Boone. He's a pending he just signed an extension, and he's their captain. There's no way they're going to move him unless you blow their socks off. I still think about Jack Roslovic. I just don't think Jack Roslovic is something that the Columbus Blue Jackets are seriously considering moving. He's a Columbus native. You know, he bleeds the Columbus colors. I just don't really... I'd be surprised if they moved him. If they did, I'm not super interested. I'm not disinterested. Do we really need another pending UFA? A pending RFA with arbitration rights? I just don't really think it's what the Rangers are after right now. At least if Max Domi doesn't work out, you just release him. You cut bait is what it is. If he plays really well, it'll give you something to ponder in the offseason. Other than that, not really much you could do. Defensively, I don't know. Is Gavrikov available? If he is that what we want? I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't really see any other players aside from Domi really, the Rangers being interested. I was just thinking about Alexander Texier. I doubt they'd move him. 22-year-old kid playing really well. I just don't see it. Yeah, I think right now Max Domi is really the only target on Columbus. And I like him. And if he could be had for a second or a third plus something small, why not? It's not a bad move. We're looking at which obviously. So if you don't follow Jay Fresh on Twitter, you're missing out. This guy makes these cards. It evaluates players' projected WAR, even offense, defense, power play, pick, yada yada yada. All the cool stuff. I like Max Domi. I do. I think it'd be a good option. Anything more than a second round pick, I'd probably be disinterested, but not a bad get. Moving on to the Detroit Red Wings. The Detroit Red Wings are not going to push for the playoffs this year, which I do not believe they are. I'm honestly not sure what we're looking at here. Maybe the Rangers could look at reuniting themselves with Vlad Nemesnikov. I don't know. I personally don't see it. If Tyler Bertuzzi's for sale, yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi would be pretty dang good on this team. Guy plays hard, works hard, hits hard, scores goals, does pretty much everything. I don't know if he has a card posted on Tyler Bertuzzi, but Bertuzzi's pretty dang good. No, he does. So Bertuzzi, good offensive, doesn't take a whole lot of penalties, but I don't know. I like Tyler Bertuzzi. I think he'd fit in really well with the New York Rangers. I just don't know if he is for sale. I would honestly, I doubt it, to tell you the truth. I'd imagine Detroit wants to keep him in their long-term plans, but if not, a year and a half player, not a bad get. I think if you get Tyler Bertuzzi, that's your top 6 fix. I think if the Rangers are going to go after Vlad Nemesnikov, which I don't believe they should, but if they do, that's more of a third, fourth line guy. Nemesnikov has been here before. I'm not a huge fan of picking up old players, like players that have been here before. I'm really not, but if they are, so be it. I think defensively is where the options kind of become a little bit interesting. Danny Kaiser, if he's available at the trade deadline, he could probably be had for a mid-round pick. Definitely better than Patrick Nemeth. I'm not sure he has a card posted for Kaiser. Actually, I doubt it. Danny Kaiser, it's Moritz Sider. We're probably not going to get a card on Kaiser, but Kaiser's pretty dang good. I've always liked Danny Kaiser. I don't think we should trade for him and keep him, but trade for him, hold on to him, see what happens. Not bad. Nick Leddy, not a bad option. They'd probably ask for a little bit more than a second-round pick, though. I feel like the Kaiser could be out for pretty cheap. Other than that, from the Red Wings, Bertuzzi's, if he's available, heck yeah, I'm all for it. Nemesnikov, option C or D. DeKaiser, if we're really looking for a really cheap left-handed defenseman fix, why not Danny DeKaiser? Buffalo Sabres, they really don't have too much that they could offer us that is so super interesting. I saw something about Victor Olofsson. I would love Victor Olofsson. The kid's got a cannon of a shot. I just don't know if the Rangers want any more finesse on that second line. I wonder if they kind of want a guy that can grind like a Max Domi or a Tyler Perduzzi. I don't really know if three finesse players on one line would work. I feel like you kind of do need a guy that works the puck out of corners. They're kind of trying to do that with Dryden Hunt. That's what Jesper Fast was to that line before the Rangers did not re-sign Jesper Fast. But that's what Dryden Hunt is to that line now. I just don't think Olofsson fits. I think if Lafreniere was having a really poor season and the Rangers needed a first-line player to replace Buchnevich, I feel like Olofsson would be a good fix, good replacement. But right now on this team, unless they're going to stuff him on the third line for overkill, I just don't really see it happening. I think if the Rangers are going to get a third-line option, it would be a slightly better Barclay Goodrow. Someone that, and when I say slightly better, because Goodrow is still a pretty solid player. He's been a pretty good get for the Rangers. I mean one that could score more and take less penalties because he's getting more ice time. That's personally what I think would happen if the Rangers are looking for a third liner. I don't really think Victor Olofsson is that. Cody Eakin, maybe a fourth line option, a fourth line guy option. If he could be had for a fifth or a sixth round pick, maybe, but I don't really know if that's what the Rangers are looking for. Robert, I don't really see any defenseman the Rangers would be interested in either. So honestly, the list kind of starts and stops right about there. Yeah. Maybe Zemgus Girgensons, however you say it. I don't know. I don't even know if he's available. I don't even know when he's going to be back. So, right now, we'll just call it, maybe Cody Eakin as a depth option. That's about it, though. Ottawa Senators. So, the Ottawa Senators are interesting because they've got a lot of players, and I'm sure a few of them are available. Connor Brown is one that I've had my eyes on for a while. Connor Brown is... Ooh, I spelled Connor Brown wrong. Connor Brown, not Connor. I'm a big Connor Brown fan. 2 years, $3-point-something million a year. This guy could be your perfect third liner. He could be a good second line complement to Panarin and Strome. This guy would just fit in, and he probably could be had for pretty cheap. I'd imagine a second round pick plus something small would probably get it done. Good little player. Does everything well. Doesn't do anything bad. I think he'd just fit in. Good short-handed guy on the PK. Colin White probably not for sale. Zach Sanford, if he is for sale, maybe a decent fourth line option. Probably not really what we're after. Nick Paul, just some depth options, but probably nothing that really sticks out too much to the Rangers. Maybe Josh Brown. I don't know. I really don't see any of these guys really blowing the Rangers away. But we need this guy. Maybe Chris Tierney, but again, that's your third line center option. If you want a new third line center, I'd imagine Chris Tierney, in terms of price and what he brings value-wise, is probably more so what they're looking for. If the Rangers are only going to pick up one player from the Ottawa Senators, if they're eyeballing one player, I would bet a lot that it would be Connor Brown as option number one. So I like Connor Brown. I think he'd fit in well. I think he could be your second line or third line solution. So if the Rangers can make a move, Connor Brown from the Ottawa Senators, if we were going to make a move with them, would be my favorite. Montreal Canadiens, I'm honestly not sure what I'd want from here. If Josh Anderson is available, he's someone I'd be interested in, but I really don't think he is available. I bet him and Galley are in the long-term plans. Mike Hoffman, I saw, become available. I'm not sure if Mike Hoffman is the solution this year. He's not a bad player. Okay, he's one of those really weird players that just do not scale to Jay Fresh's models well, but obviously he could score. Signed for the next 3 years at $4.5 million a year. He'll be 35 when his contract ends. I don't know. Honestly, if I was going to pick one player from the Montreal Canadiens I want, it would be Arturi Lehkonen. I would take Lehkonen and walk. There's really no one else in this team I'm interested in. I mean, Matthew Perreault, depth. Paquette, depth. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to lie. Ben Sherratt, keep him the F away from this team. For the love of God, we already have Patrick Nemeth. We do not need Ben Sherratt, who's worse than him. I'm begging the Rangers to stay away from this guy. Begging. Jonathan Drouin, maybe not. Depending on how much Jonathan Drouin costs, he wouldn't be a terrible option. If you can get him for, a second or a third, why not? Dvorak, I think that ship has sailed despite his contract not being too bad. I just don't think the Montreal Canadiens would have acquired Dvorak and then trade him, flip him for less than what they traded for him. And I really just don't see anything else available that the Rangers would want, to tell you the truth. If I'm being honest, I really don't think there's anything else available. So, yeah. If I'm the Rangers, the only player I'm really looking at hard is Arturi Lehkonen. I just don't really see anybody that's going to fit the bill that we need. And Lehkonen could be, again, same thing as Connor Brown. He could be a second-line fit with Panarin and Strome, or he could be a third-line fit. Either way, I like Arturi Lehkonen a lot. And if you look at Lehkonen's player card, oops. There he goes, right there. Did he take it down? No, there it is, right there. Boom. 99 defense, 76 even strength offense. This guy's an even strength machine, and he doesn't need to be special teams. He's just a good, solid all-around player. This is essentially the Jesper Fast replacement. If the Rangers acquire Arturi Lehkonen, this is probably a guy they're going to try to sign for long-term, low AAV, long-term. I am a huge fan of picking up Arturi Lehkonen. I think he'd fit in great for the New York Rangers. Moving on from the Montreal Canadiens, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Rangers are going to make a big swing at all this season. There's only one player from the Blackhawks I really want, and that is Patrick Kane. I don't think Patrick Kane becomes available, but if he does become available, this is a guy I'd swing for the fences for. And the only way you get it done is if they have to eat half of his salary. If the Chicago Blackhawks and the New York Rangers could make a trade with Patrick Kane at 50% retained, and you reunite Kane and Panarin on a line, that would be so freaking exciting. Now, the problem being, I just mentioned it with the other one, how much finesse do you want on that second line? Well, I don't really think that'll matter when you're talking about Patrick Kane and Artemi Panarin, two of the league's best offensive players in recent history. I really don't think it matters at that point. I would freaking love Kaner. I would trade a lot for Kaner. I would start with Lundqvist and that first-round pick, and I would continue to build from there. I would throw in Hurdle. I would throw in most anything that isn't Capo Caco or a super high-round pick. But there is a lot I would trade for Patrick Kane. I don't know exactly what the offer would have to look like. I'd imagine it looked close to what the Rangers gave up for Marty St. Louis back in 2014. 2 first-round picks. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's look at. I think that would be a good comparable right there. Would be what the Rangers traded for Marty St. Louis back in 2014. 2 first-round picks, Callahan, and a second or something like that. It was a weird trade. Traded from so with the second for Callahan, a first, and a seventh. They probably get a little bit more for Patty Kane than we got when we traded for Marty St. Louis, just because of Marty St. Louis is a little bit older than Patrick Kane. Kaner this season, 55 points, 51 games. Dude's just a legend. If you're gonna trade for Patrick Kane, it's gonna cost you a lot. I mean, I'd imagine it would be. You'd start a Hurdle, a first, and Nils Lundqvist would be like the start. And then from there, they're probably going to try to clean you out of your prospects. They're probably going to want Kravtsov in there. They're going to want a lot. Lundqvist, Hurdle, and 2 firsts, I think, should be enough to get that done. But that's a tall order. That's a lot of prospects you're giving up for a year and a half of a player, but they got to eat half his salary. So I don't know. To tell you the truth, other than that, there's really not much else on the Chicago Blackhawks I'm interested in. Maybe Ryan Carpenter as like a 4th line option, a depth guy, probably could be had for like a 6, maybe even less. Sam Lafferty's not terrible. Again, depth. Johann, I saw him as a possibility. Better than Nemeth, so why not? We got infinite money, and if he doesn't cost anything super expensive, why not? And honestly, that's about all I see that I'd be interested in from the Blackhawks. Yeah. But if the Rangers are going to make a big move and they're going to swing for the fences, Patrick Kane would be the guy I would vote for to swing on. The San Jose Sharks, obviously, Tomas Hurdle is the big fish that is going to set the market this offseason. I don't really know if the Rangers... I know the Rangers are interested in Tomas Hurdle. I just wonder, are they really going to sell house for him for, 20 regular season games and a handful of playoff games? I really don't think the Rangers are interested in doing that. I think the Rangers are more looking at 2 years and longer options. The only rentals they're probably looking at are mid to low round picks. I'm a fan of Hurdle. I think Hurdle would be a great get for the Rangers. I thought he would have been a better get at the beginning of the season, so you get a full year out of him. But if you're trading for him at the deadline, considering how much you'd have to give up, I would like for that to come with an extension. I just don't know how much Tomas Hurdle is asking for. The one problem with Tomas Hurdle is his injury history with his knees, especially. He's never played a full season. He's gotten pretty close to it, but I just don't know. I don't know. Tomas Hurdle is a really good player. I mean, I am by no means talking him down. I just don't know if the Rangers are right now a piece away where they'd only want to give up a ton of pieces for 18 games of guy. I don't know if that's putting us over the edge. But look at this, dude. The kid's a great all-around player. If we can get him with an extension attached to him, sign me up. But if not, not interested. Other than that, Dzingel, Cogliano, a couple depth pieces if they're really interested. I personally, I don't see it. That's honestly about it. That's really all I'd see from there that I really want. Wow, Erik Karlsson's back on IR. I feel bad for that guy, man. What a terrible fall from grace. Moving on from San Jose, the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken have a few players I'm interested in. Number one being Jared McCann. Where's Jared McCann? I would love Jared McCann. But if the Rangers are going to take a shot at somebody and get him at half salary retained, Yanni freaking Gourde. You cut that guy's salary in half. You have one of the best third line centers in the game you could have. You reunite him with Barclay Goodrow. I don't even care if you reunite him with Barclay Goodrow. Just make him your third line center. I don't care. I would give up a good amount to get Yanni Gourde on this team. I think he would be freaking perfect. If you take a look at Yanni, not Laurel, but Yanni. Mary Mother of God, is this guy freaking good? And would he fit in well on this New York Rangers team? Yeah, I'll take him. Sign me up for that Yanni Gourde. He would, oh, man alive. I would trade a first rounder and Krasov for Yanni Gourde if it meant we can get him at half salary retained. I would probably even throw in a little bit more on top of that. I think this guy would be absolutely perfect on this team. Other than Yanni Gourde, obviously I mentioned Jared McCann would be a solid fit. Calle Jarnkrok wouldn't be a terrible bottom option, like bottom six option, maybe even fourth line. Keep Blackwell away from here. We've had enough of him. Not really anything else I see, honestly. Yanni Gourde is my favorite player from the Seattle Kraken. That could be a potential trade target for the Rangers. And honestly, by the way, I'm looking at things, kind of the only option. Unless Alexander Wenberg becomes available. Because if Wenberg's available, he'd be a great third line option. I doubt he's going to be available, though. Wenberg's just solid all around. Tough season so far this year, but you can get him for cheap. Moving on. From the Seattle Kraken, Yanni Gourde, man. If the Rangers can get one player this deadline to make one deal, and one deal only, and they can get Yanni Gourde at 50% retained, I will take that. I will take that freaking deal. The Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets are a tough team to gauge because what are they actually going to give up? Most likely, Stastny and Copp are really the only players they're actively shopping. Stastny would be a pretty good third line cog. I think Stastny would fit in well. But there's one player I want to talk about more than Paul Stastny. Look, dude, Stastny's just solid. He's just solid, man. Good all around. I think Stastny is. Yeah, sign me up for Stastny. I'll take. We could fit him in. I like Paul Stastny. He'd be good. I don't know what you'd have to give to get him, but he's just a good all around guy. Good player. Been around a while. Could definitely help a team win. And I don't know if he'd be super expensive to re-sign. Stastny 27 and 44, 29 56, 38 and 71, 42 50. That one doesn't matter. But yeah, Stastny would be a pretty dang good fit on this team. But if you're going to swing for the fences again, I think I value Patrick Kane a little bit more. But if you're going to swing for the fences and you're going to give up a lot and you're willing to give up a lot, something to be said about Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele would be freaking awesome on this team. Mark Scheifele is an offensive absolute dynamo. 94% offense. Defense, I'm not really worried about. I'm worried about this. Boom. Look at all that. Finishing. Dude. If Stromer's going to walk this year, and you could pick up Mark Scheifele, what are we doing? If Scheifele is available, there is not much I would not give up for this freaking guy. You get him for 3 years at $6.125 million per year. That is cheap as hell for a first-line center. Sign me up. If a deal can be made, let's make a deal. I doubt it happens. It's probably on the 1% scale of happening, but if he becomes available, again, this is probably one of the few players that are quote unquote available that I would think about throwing Capo Caco in a move for. I think he's that freaking good. Other than that, Paul Stastny, and that's about it. I don't know if Andrew Copp has a thing. I don't really know if Andrew Copp's even that great. Let's see. Oopsies. Yeah, he's on a card now. Nah, we're good. All right, moving on from the Winnipeg Jets, the last and final team, the Arizona Coyotes. Not really top line options. Maybe Phil Kessel, but nah. Again, I think if the Rangers, unless they're going for a superstar for that second line, you could just get a better Dryden Hunt. Just someone that can muck in the corners, work the puck out, get it to Stromer and Panarin, a guy that could finish, and then just go from there. Kind of like a Jesper Foss. Man, if only we had one of those around. Kessel wouldn't be a terrible option, but I doubt the Rangers are going to, trade a second-round pick for him and throw him on the third line. I just don't really see it happening. Don't want Richie. Roussel's still playing? I thought Roussel was hurt. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Michael Furlan on Vancouver. No, Roussel's not bad. He was a lot better back then, but I don't really know if he's what the Rangers are looking for right now. I doubt Roussel has a card, does he? Yeah, he's not really what the Rangers are looking for. Lawson Krause, Christian Fischer, Barrett Hayton. The only one I'm really interested in this HSM Hockey Stat Miner put me on this guy after doing a little bit of research and watching him play is Johann Lars. He's on IR? Well, shoot. Well, Johann Larson is kind of the guy that I was really thinking if we're going to make a move with Arizona, he'd be a good depth fit. Great defensive player. Would fit in great on that that third or fourth line. He wins face-off. He's just a good all-around player. He's a UFA after the season, but why not? Why not give a guy like that a shot? You could probably be had for like a 6th or a 7th round pick, so why not take advantage of that? You might as freaking well. But honestly, aside from that, there's not really much else from Arizona I would even be remotely interested in, unless the Jacob Chikrin talks pick up again, in which case I would love Chikrin. If we get them, if they retain half his dang salary, a $2.3 million per year top 4 defenseman, heck yeah, sign me up. But yeah. You guys comment below. What are your thoughts? Of all the players that I had mentioned in this video, which one gets you the most excited? Which one do you think would be the best fit for the Rangers? Is there anybody I missed out on that you want to hear about? But I gave you guys my opinion. You can go back and rewatch it. Comment below all your thoughts. I'll see you guys next one. Just comment below. All right? Just comment. Just comment. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I'll see you on the next one. Peace.